Hello, and welcome to a tutorial on how to build shaving lathers. Perhaps you're new to using a shaving soap and brush. Perhaps you're not getting quite the lather that you expect out of your current setup. Or perhaps you're looking for some additional tips and tricks on how to build a better shaving lather. Well, I'm going to be demonstrating two different techniques today, and I'm going to be using a soft Italian soap. Today it is the RazoRock King of the Castle Lime. Soft Italian soaps are generally very forgiving, easy to lather soaps, and so make a great choice for beginners and experienced users alike. The first technique I'm going to demonstrate today is the dry brush. The second will be the wet brush technique. So without any further ado, let's move on to the dry brush. The dry brush technique involves starting with a brush that you've had soaking in some water in the sink or a mug. You're going to take that brush and you're going to squeeze out most of the water. The brush should start off damp, not wet. Take your soap, dribble a bit of water on top, and then begin loading your brush. And in the dry technique, what you're going to do is basically load a soapy paste onto the brush before you then move to building your lather on your face. You're not building a lather now, you're basically loading the brush to allow you to build a lather. Don't load for 5 seconds or 10. You need to load for maybe 15, 20, 30. You need to get a good thick paste of soap going onto the brush, so when the time comes, you begin to build your lather, you have enough product to work with. You can hear when you do this, it's thick, dense, a little sticky. It's just right. If you take a look, that's thick, a little bit pasty. Now, wet your face. And begin to work the lather directly on your face. And when you start, this may well look like a good lather, but it's not yet. It is too thick, it's too dense, it's still more of a soapy paste. If you stop here, this lather is likely going to dry out. It's not going to provide enough lubrication or slide. So now, if you check, that is still too sticky. So add water. And I'm just dripping some drops of water onto the brush. And continue to work the lather on your face. And it's going to very quickly go from too thick and too pasty to a nice, sleek, shiny, protective lather. That is very close, but not ready yet. So, add more water. Don't be afraid to add the water. When you start off with the dry method and your brush is well loaded, you're going to need to add water to build that lather. And there you go. A nice, sleek, shiny, protective lather. The second lathering technique I'd like to show you today is the wet brush method. And in the wet brush method, you start off with a much wetter brush. So if you've had your brush soaking in the sink or a bowl, you can tip it out, gentle squeeze, but leave enough water in the brush. The brush should still be wet. Also, add some water to the soap. Now, I should warn you that if you do not like making a little bit of a mess, if you are afraid of getting soap on your hands or all over the container, this may not be the technique for you, but this technique does work very well. So I've just dipped the brush back into the sink, I've just added a bit of water to the tips, and I'm now going to begin loading again, and you'll see this is a very wet, sudsy, airy, bubbly lather. And what you can do is turn the container upside down to allow that sudsy lather to begin soaking deep into the brush. Yes, this is wet. Yes, this is going to make a little bit of a mess. But not to worry, this also builds a fantastic shaving lather. Alright, I'm just going to turn it back up. Now I know this looks airy, this looks foamy. That's as it should look. This should be wet, very bubbly. Alright, now I'm just going to scoop off as much of from the container as I can. I'm going to wet my face again. Same technique as before, just begin to face lather, and you'll hear that this sounds light and sudsy, very bubbly. And if you stop too soon building this lather, you're going to have the reverse problem. This will thin out, this will provide really very little protection. We find this lather dissipates before the first or second pass is done. So now, even though you started with the wet brush, add more water. Okay, and again, I'm just dripping a few drops of water onto the brush. And just continue to lather on the face, and you're going to see that the lather begins to thicken up a little bit, becomes a little denser, a little richer, and it's going to go from too thin and too airy and bubbly to another sleek, shiny, well lubricated lather. If you still think it's too airy and too bubbly, you can add a bit more water or continue to work it. And as you do this, lather may go flying, not to worry. It's a good sign. And there you go. A nice, slick, protective lather. And remember, the quality of your lather is not measured in the depth of the lather, but how slick and how protective a layer you're providing. Depth is not important. Slickness and protection really matter. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on how to build shaving lather using the dry brush technique, damp brush, or the wet brush technique. And as you can see, both offer fantastic results. I wish you all the best in your lathering. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to leave them on the video. And until next time, all the best, and thank you for watching.